Who will be the Niners starting quarterback this year? And can they get over the NFC title game hump? Ignore the Bengals shirt. It's time for the San Francisco 49ers 2023 season outlook.
ATL Jacob.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Yance. Tonight, we're going to be finishing up our NFC series and going to the AFC in the next video, but we cannot forget about talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, they started 3-4, and then they didn't lose a game until the NFC title game. They just kept winning. Well, what was the difference? Christian McCaffery was acquired. A couple other things happened. They played operation with their quarterback this year. I mean, it was who was going to be available this week. We didn't know. You started off with Trey Lance, got hurt in week 2. Jimmy G steps in, does a pretty good job, gets hurt week 13. Brock Purdy goes in and even does an even better job. And then he gets hurt. And then you got Josh Johnson. Christian McCaffrey's an emergency quarterback. I mean, there's so many things that happened last year with the Niners. It was a very successful season. They got back to the NFC title game, and they lost. What a fantastic roster they have. But it's just one or two things that they just need to hit on to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl. And looking at these adds and losses, maybe the answer is in one of those. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, tackle Mike McGlinchey, safety Jimmy Ward, etc. all left the 49ers this offseason. But, hey, they got Sam Darnold, I guess. He's in competition for the starting quarterback job. And then they got a big get, Javon Hargrave from the Philadelphia Eagles, 11 sacks as a defensive tackle. That's just going to bolster up this defensive line even more. Now, welcome to the creative world of Kyle Shanahan, where any quarterback can walk in there and take his team as far as the NFC Championship game. That's what Brock Purdy did. He was Mr. Irrelevant last year. I think he got that tagline off him. 67% completion percentage, 1,300 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 107.3 passer rating. He was fantastic down the stretch of the season. He got thrown in there as a starter in Week 14 and didn't lose a game until the NFC title game, which I don't even want to give him that loss. But Brock Purdy reminds me of the point guard that just doesn't turn the ball over and is the coach's best friend. He was able to just stay calm and stay collective with this unit and just go through his reads nice and easy. Normally his first read was there because he had some talented weapons that he was playing with. But even in times of crisis, Brock Purdy just stayed calm, cool, and collective and was able to dial up a nice play and let his playmakers do the rest. Talking of his playmakers, Christian McCaffrey's pretty freaking good. He ran the ball 244 times last year, got acquired from the Carolina Panthers in mid-October. He had 1,139 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, 85 catches out of the backfield for over 700 yards at 5 touchdowns. When he's healthy and he's on the field, he's a top 3 running back in the National Football League. He was regarded as the best running back in football a few years back for a reason. When you're getting that many touches and you're just producing like that, it's hard not to say that he's the best in the National Football League when he is on the field. You got Brandon Ayuk, 78 catches, 1,015 yards, 8 touchdowns. Some may say he's the number 1 wide receiver on this team. And honestly, I'm starting to believe it. Just seeing what he's able to do, he's very versatile. He is a great route runner, and he is just, a lot of precision from him. So, I mean, I think he might be the best receiver on this team. Deebo Samuel, 86 catches, 632 yards, 4 touchdowns, ran the ball 42 times, had over 200 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Deebo had a great year in 2021. He took a scale back in 2022. He did a little bit less of everything, but the Niners still got to the same spot. So Deebo, I think, is in for a bigger 2023. You got Jawan Jennings, 35 catches, 416 yards, and a touchdown. But then you got George Kittle, top 2 tight end in the National Football League. Travis Kelce's a receiver, but George Kittle, if you're talking about pure tight end, I don't even know. It's really hard to grade, but George Kittle is, when they talk about your traditional tight end, George Kittle was everything you could ask for. 60 catches, 765 yards, 11 touchdown receptions. He played with like 4 different quarterbacks. So, I mean, he was just an absolute production machine. And, I mean, it's pretty scary when he's pancaking a guy and he is just laughing like a maniac, like the Joker. So, he's a very interesting guy. He, keeps the team on his toes and he just does his job. He, a really good player, and I really like watching him play the game of football. Offensive line, Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the National Football League, I would say. They did a little bit of shuffling up front. The other right tackle, you had Colton McKivitz taking in for Mike McGlinchey. That's going to be a guy to watch on the offensive line this year just to see how he holds up for McGlinchey. But other than that, this, Niners offense, if they're under the direction of Kyle Shanahan, anything can happen and a lot of good things will happen. I'm excited to see what the Niners are able to do and see who their quarterback is. Brock Purdy probably going to be the guy. Trey Lance up next. Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen, put them all in a pot. They just play decent. Niners are probably going to win football games. But I would say Brock Purdy's going to be the week 1 starter. I want to keep things short on the Niners defense. They're really freaking good. You got Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead in the middle. That's pretty scary for any quarterback and any interior offensive lineman. Javon Hargrave, 11 sacks. Eric Armstead in 2021 had 6 sacks. He didn't really play a whole lot last year, but I expect him to return to full strength, pretty close to it. So that's a very scary duo in there. And another scary duo at the pass rusher. You got Drake Jackson, had 3 sacks last year, barely played at all, but he was able to get after the quarterback in the limited time that he played. And then obviously the Ohio State Buckeye, Nick Bosa, 51 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 18.5 sacks. Are you kidding me? The guy's jump off the line of scrimmage is unbelievable. The strength, he just bulldozes. Huge left tackles. It's unbelievable what he's able to do. Put him on either side of the ball, he is going to make the quarterback damn near shit down his leg. So it's pretty crazy what Nick Bosa is able to do. And if he's on the field, you always have to account for him as well as his teammates. That's what's going to make this Niners D-line so scary. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, probably the best linebacking tandem in the National Football League. It's pretty close with a couple of units, but I think it's Greenlaw and Warner. Both of them had over 125 tackles. Both had an interception. Fred Warner had 2 sacks. They make big plays in big games, and at that mode as a linebacker, you can't ask for much more from that duo, 57 and 54. They do the work. Looking at their secondary, they got Talona Hufanga. Had a great season, 97 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. Tashawn Gibson, 5 interceptions, 8 passes defended. He's like 30-something years old. He's getting up there in age, but he's doing a really good job. On the outside, Shavarius Ward, 87 tackles, interception, 11 passes defended. The secondary is pretty good. The safeties are very, very good. The corners are feeding off of defensive line and everything up front, so their job is a little bit easier than everybody else's, but it's a great unit that's been going on for the Niners for the last few years, even with them having to switch to defensive coordinators. They had Robert Saleh for years. They had D'Amico Ryans for years. It's, they're just good. They're just absolutely athletic, and they know their job. Looking at this Niners schedule, they play 5 night games. They play the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, Week 5. That Giants game's Week 3. Week 7, they play the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota on Monday Night Football. Go down the line, they play at Seattle on Thanksgiving night. And then they play the Ravens on Christmas night, Monday Night Football. The 2 nationally televised games they have at 4:25. They play Week 8 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals, 4:25 CBS. And then Week 13, the NFC Championship game rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly on Fox. Their Week 1 opponents, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is always going to be in the contention for making the playoffs and playing teams hard, especially with them not having a home game to start the season off in years. So San Francisco going into town, they got to figure out their quarterback situation going in. They got to see if Brock Purdy's healthy, and then who's up after that, if it's Sam Darnold, if it's Trey Lance that they drafted number 3 overall, which I still have no idea why they did that, and I think Niners fans have no idea why they did that, but that's a different story for a different time. But they're going to be walking into a pretty good Steelers team's home stadium, and it'll be a very, very good matchup to watch. And see who the quarterback is that game, see how they deal with a lot of the stress that the Steelers are going to be throwing at them on defense. So they're going to have to win the football game, running the ball, making quick, easy passes, and getting after Kenny Pickett on defense. Now, looking at their season prediction, if they figure out the quarterback, I think they will be the best team in the NFC. I think they'll win 13 games if they figure out the quarterback, and that's a big if. If not, I still think they win about 11 games. If they get decent quarterback play, it's over 10 or 11 wins. If they get very good quarterback play, it's 13 to 14 wins. I think Brock Purdy's a starting quarterback if he's healthy, but, who am I? I'm just from Ohio.